Hello, welcome to the Shift Show. I'm Christopher McClure, and the Shift Show is where we bring spirit to bear on trending issues. And the trending issue that I'd like to bring spirit to bear on is grappling with overload. Um, I personally have been grappling with overload uh, recently, and usually I'm a person to really go after what I'm curious about, interested in, to basically growth. It's like I really kind of step into growth, and I'm willing to sacrifice my own comfort for growth. And but I've just recently I've just kind of like maxed out. Excuse me, where I can't I haven't been able to do what I've set out to do with any kind of quality, with any kind of repetition, so that there's actually some progress. And so I'm delving into this topic, for myself, trying to pull myself up by my own bootstraps, and I figure that this is an issue for a lot of people, and even though what I'm going to present to you today is just a work in progress, I'm hoping that it presents some key elements that will help you, and I'm hoping that it will sort of make you cogitate, and make comments and suggestions, and like share your ahas, and together we can come up with something that actually helps um, all of us. So anyway, I am going to share my screen because I've made a diagram, a chart to refer to. So I'm going to do that right now. Share my screen. And you can see that this is a chart that's figured around the Enneagram. The Enneagram is a nine-pointed geometric figure. It was brought to the West by Gurdjieff. He found it in, I think its origin is Egypt. And the Enneagram is used popularly. It's used as a typology system, but I don't use it in I'm not using it in that sense. Uh, in general, I don't, and today especially, I use it in what I call the ancient Enneagram sense, which is that it's any complete system can fit inside the Enneagram, and the Enneagram can help to elucidate the different components and how they relate to each other and how they relate to the whole. So yeah, the topic is is sustainable manifestation. How do we manifest? We are manifesting beings. How do we manifest in the world, but in a way that's sustainable? So if you look at the Enneagram in general, there's a triangle, and that triangle provides sort of the basic foundation or skeleton of the rest of the components. And it also the triangle in general, the triplicity is a symbol of balance. So there's like usually a polarity, which is in this case is expansion and consolidation, and the third element that I've put in here is how to do that, how to be in that polarization, and do it with joy. And something I wanted to mention here, I kind of clued into this recently. I've been reading a book by Gina Lake. It's about extraterrestrials, and in this book um, she put forth the perspective that you know, that the life forms that are in this, you know, I'm not sure what the context is, whether it's the solar system or the galaxy or even beyond, but they look to Earth as a place where, um, polarization, it's like a garden of polarization. And they look at this positively because this, um, this quality that Earth has is not something found commonly throughout the universe. It's like we're kind of a special place where polarization can really grow. And the thing about polarization is that you know, polarities, they actually create, they accelerate evolution. Carl Jung uh, has a central principle in his work, which is that, you know, if wherever you find a polarity in your life, if you hold the polarity, then a new consciousness will be born in the middle of that. So what I'm basically saying here is that polarity is a good thing. You know, it's like, it's something that accelerates growth and evolution. So, and you know, and basically this polarity that I'm talking about, expansion and consolidation, is a polarity between growth and, what would we would call it, stabilization, growth and stabilization. You know, that you can't be growing all the time. You've got to, and expanding all the time. You've got to integrate what that new consciousness. It's like when we expand, we're our the part of ourselves that recognizes spirit, um, moves into greater comprehension, greater awareness of spirit, and and then we go outside of our bodies, and doing that, our sense of ego expands. You know, it gets bigger than just the limited body, you know, viewpoint that we're in, but that it our bodies do need to catch up, and that's the principle of stabilization. So yeah, so we have expansion, and we have consolidation, and we have joy. So the components, you know, in a real basic way, the components of expansion is that well, I'll just speak for myself. I get a vision, you know, a vision of a way that I want to be, a vision of an ability that I want to have, and and so that's like sort of like the spiritual or mental component, but then the inspiration is the emotional component. And inspiration, you know, I could say, I could safely say that I'm a bit of an inspiration junkie. You know, it's like, as long as I'm inspired, I can just keep going, and it's like I don't need money, and I don't need, you know, I don't need comfort. Um, the inspiration is my comfort, is my juice. It's the gas that fuels me. So these are, you know, important components of expansion. But then, you know, you can. There's only so far, living in a body. There's only so far you can go with these, because if it doesn't ground out, if it doesn't stabilize in the body, in a sense, if it doesn't consolidate, then there gets to be, the actual, you know, there gets to be a cognitive dissonance between where we want to be and what's actually happening. So consolidation is important. Now, the components of consolidation are, in a basic way, are, one, organization, right? So say I there's a skill that I realize that I want to have. You know, say it's a I want to be able. So I'm writing a book, and I want to be able to describe things better. So I want to have a better, more skill at description. You know, so um, I I can organize that, the acquisition of that skill, by I could, you know, go online, and I can look at articles about description, you know, in writing. I can I could look for books, good books about that that have that deal with description. I can also set up a time or times every week where I actually practice description. I just, I'm just doing nothing but, just picking an object and describing it, or picking a certain sense and describing what I'm experiencing through that sense. So that's the organization of that consolidation of the vision of this expansion. That's kind of a long-winded sentence, but really those are the components and how they're kind of culminating here. Um, Now, if I set that up for myself and say I'm going to every Friday, I'm going to do some description. I'm going to write. I'm just going to practice that. Um, if I have the discipline to do that every Friday, if I pick a time and I know when, and and I don't let other things get in the way of that time, then I move forward. Then I actually there is progress here, and so that the danger of cognitive dissonance is lessened because I'm actually learning this skill. I'm actually fulfilling this vision, and I can see progress happening along the way. But even if I got all this going, and I do get re-inspired by the progress I'm making, this can turn into like a routine, and routines are good except when they become kind of dry, and it becomes drudgery, and so then at that point it's like, all right, well, how do I have fun with this? How do I bring joy into this experience, so that I can sustain it, so that it's something that's I've been listening to I listened to a podcast yesterday, and I actually joined a an online created an account with this. It's called Velocity Jam, but the guy, Dr. Pele, is the one who started this, and his his byline is the happiness of let me see, I think basically it's profitable happiness. He says that um, there's tons of examples throughout the world of people who are successful but not happy. So success or making profit does not equal happiness. Um, and so his thing is about how do you that happiness, the beingness, right, of happiness can actually create success for us, and so how do you do that? So I think playfulness is a component. Excuse me, and playfulness is so what is playfulness? Playfulness is the ability, it's definitely has to do with creativity, where you're just willing to maybe just kind of like juggle the structure, or step out of the structure, or take apart the take a piece of the structure and try it over here. Um, Basically, it's an application of these principles in an enjoyable way. Applying. So if I, in the case of that, that I want to learn description, and if I'm just kind of like getting burned out, what an example of how I could be playful with this is, I might share some of my descriptions on Facebook, say, or I might, send one of them, in a post or an email to a friend, and encourage them to respond with a description of something. To basically, I'm applying it. I'm trying to make it real in my life, and to have fun doing it. To create to spice up my life and to have variety and to spice up the excuse me, the actual exercise. Okay, so the other component of of joy is curiosity, and I mean, curiosity in if the other thing, what I said before, that inspiration is a key component to how I'm fueled in my life. Curiosity is easily is up there with it. I can't say which one is more important. It might be that curiosity is even more important than inspiration, but I wouldn't want to actually try to value each of them against each other. Curiosity, it's like learning is so important to me. It's such a large part of expansion, because we expand, and the vision increases, but we also need to the way that the way that new consciousness affects our mind or our operating system, is that's learning, and that curiosity. It's just like what is the expansion is about moving towards truth, and curiosity is the same thing. It's about always looking for the deeper truth, for the more expansive, the more skillful, the the more joyful, the more playful, the more inspired, the more embodied manifestation, and that's what we're talking about. And through these components, especially this balance of expansion, consolidation, and joy, what is created is harmony, which is what kind of I started off saying, that this is like a I think of a bicycle as kind of a balanced thing, and it only has two wheels, but it's the harmony of these three things working together. It becomes sustainable. It can move forward, and it can it can grow, and it can stabilize, and it can have fun, so that forward progress is sustainable over a long time. So that's a basic idea. I'm going to stop my share now, and so once again, this what I've been presenting today is just a works in progress. It's a sort of taking a stab at how do we live a more sustainable life? How do we deal with overload? Where do we cut back? How do we cut back, but still maintain the growth at the same time? And it's an ongoing. For me, that's an ongoing question. I just to refer to some astrology, I have a Sagittarius sun, which is way down at the bottom of my chart, and then I have a Gemini midheaven. So the way that I put myself out into the world is in many different ways, and yet Sagittarius is like a focused, and it's like I'm always that's a polarity. It's a built-in polarity, and I don't think the answer is it's not to like, okay, I'm going to figure out just how much I can handle and then just stick to that. It's a constant question that's going on. It's like what's the need, listening to the need to expand and listening to the need to consolidate, and how can they come together in a joyful and a playful way. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful to you. I'm Christopher McCore. Welcome to the Shift Show, and this was the topic of grappling with overload and how do we create sustainable manifestation. Thank you.